What's going on?
Oh my goodness.
Hey, what's up? So that's my bad, y'all. The producer is getting fired tonight. Man, all right. Hey, what's up? It's Monday. You're in the marriage shop. This is a point at which you'll be hearing some cool, smooth music. That track by it's by Mike and Wendy, Lifetime, featuring JC from
Yes.
Atlanta. But the producer didn't get the music on tonight, so you know how it is. Refreshing and all that stuff. But hey, it's good to see everybody tonight. Welcome, or it's good to see your names and numbers and stuff.
Yeah. So welcome back to another week in the marriage shop, and we got a text a little earlier of whether or not we were still doing the marriage shop during. I'll tell you what, for most Mondays, we're going to be here in the shop. Every now and then, as you guys know, we might be out of pocket or in an undisclosed location or under the weather or whatever. And it's preseason football. So who knows what's going to happen in the next several weeks or months? Because I think we're taking a little trip to Dallas. So...
Yeah, we are. I almost forgot. I'm so excited. Anyway, I'm Mike. That's Wendy. You're in the marriage shop.
Yes.
Welcome.
And this week we're in Evans, still in Evans, and it's hot still. So welcome back. If you've been with us for the last couple of weeks, we've been having some really great discussions and conversations about a number of things. And last week was our second Monday, right? Second Singles Monday.
Singles. Yeah.
Singles Monday. Second Monday.
Second Monday for singles.
Yeah.
Yes.
What were we talking about?
Oh, see, I knew you're gonna do that. I don't know. It's singles. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's been like a week. What are we talking about, single people?
You don't know what we were talking about. I know.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah. What were we talking about?
That is so funny. She's serious. But hold on.
Serious. Hold on. Let me check.
To the chat. Hey, Lisa, what's up? Lisa McNeil.
Yes.
Don and Sherry Nesbitt. Lori Ann, what's up?
Yeah. Oh, I know what we were talking about because I was doing this.
Yeah,
it was fearfully and wonderfully made. That's
right.
what it was. That's what we were talking about. That's what we were talking about. So if you missed that or you want to catch that, or you're single and you're like, when are y'all ever going to talk about something relevant to us? All of our videos you can access on our page or through YouTube. So all of them are there. I think all of them are there, like all of them since the beginning. So, you want to get caught up. You could binge Mike and Wendy on the Marriage Shop for a few days and get all caught up. So
you said almost all since almost the beginning.
Oh yeah. So there was that 9 or 10 or so that I mistakenly deleted. So most of them are there.
Most of them are there though.
But the marriage shop ones are. When we did Inside Marriage, those were the ones that didn't necessarily survive the changeover. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to send a shout out to the Okie Grove Marriage Ministry. They had an amazing all white dinner marriage get together with my boo thing over the weekend, and it looks like they had an amazing time. And it just reminds me that a lot of people ask, how can they get involved in marriage ministry? How can they do different things? And often there may be an existing marriage ministry at your church, but it may not be active, or you may not be tapped in. So I would say start at your home church just to start asking those questions. And sometimes you may discover that there's a need, and perhaps you might be the people to fill the need. Not sure. That's kind of what happened with us when we first got here to Evans. We were feeling called to doing it or serving in that way. And they were also feeling a need to have, a group that was specific to couples.
Yeah. And so it was such that the time it worked out, we went and the pastor was like, okay, let's go. And we did. And so do that, or, if you want to, as you're building, if you want to kind of do something else, there's like a lot of things happening. In fact, the Weekend to Remember is coming back to Augusta. Actually, so I should say that Weekend to Remember is going to kick off its fall season starting in September. Generally, that first or second Saturday in September, or the second actually, in September. is when the Weekend to Remember starts. So there'll be one that first weekend, the 9th through the 11th, in Augusta, Chattanooga, and Delray Beach, Florida.
Yes.
We actually did Chattanooga last year, if I'm not mistaken. That was a cool spot. So Chat Town coming back your way, baby.
Yeah, and, we saw the Chattanooga Choo Choo and everything.
The Chattanooga Choo Choo. I didn't realize that there was an actual train. But it's kind of like the Alamo, if I'm being honest. No offense. No offense to San Antonio or the Chattanooga. I'm just saying, I looked and I'm like, thought it'd be bigger. It's like this is the whole thing has been built around. That's the Chattanooga Choo Choo. It's crazy.
That's funny. And we also saw the TVA, and I think this is the Tennessee Valley Authority, but at the time we were watching Loki on Disney Plus. So we took a picture because we were like, is the travel or time variant association or something like that. Anyway, it's neither here nor there.
Marvel people.
Tennessee is beautiful. And we hope to go back. Well, as a matter of fact, you were just in Tennessee.
I was. In fact, before, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second. I think I'm gonna drop them this link to the Weekend to Remember. So if you want to find out like where the Weekend to Remember is coming in your town, there's the link. You should be able to go there. Get that.
So Davis Brown, you said Davis Brown already?
Nope.
Oh, welcome back. Tara Carroll, always glad when you drop in. We're going to see you in a couple of weeks. We're excited about it.
Yep.
Can't wait. Angie Green, welcome back.
Yep.
And Ron Harvey. He says Delray Beach is his hometown.
That's right.
James might Stevens, be time for a homecoming.
It might be time for a homecoming. Yeah. So you're going down and do your thing in Delray. And so
you said James Stevens?
James Stevens from Delray Beach.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Do they know each other?
Absolutely. Well, they know their families know each other. They know each other now.
Oh, who knew?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And so next week. It's so quick. I forgot that was coming. Anyway,
I know.
We're ready. We'll be ready, Tara. Don't worry. But yeah, I just got back. If I look a little tired, I just got back from men's retreat in Ocoee, Tennessee. I didn't even know that town existed before a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it's in southern Tennessee in the hills there, and it was a men's retreat. And so, man, I'm tired. That was Thursday, and I got home yesterday.
Yeah.
After battling back through Atlanta traffic, craziness, but it was really good. That was put on by Jared Dufresne, Kirk Kinson, Jim Rudolph. Shouts out to those guys. Amazing job. And so we're gonna talk a little bit more about retreats. Man. This was a men's retreat, right? It wasn't quite as austere as some other things I've been to. I mean, we had AC and bunk beds and stuff like that. I've been to some stuff where you almost had to build your own fire for real. But Jim, he does a lot of stuff, a bunch of different types of events. So We Are Fire Starters is his website. I'm gonna drop that in the chat too in case y'all want to check it out. They even do some couple stuff.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about a number of things, and we always want to hear from you. We periodically will ask you guys, what do you want us to talk about? And we'll ask you to drop it in. So I'm going to do that right now. Trey Penn, thanks for joining us. So if there's some topic or something that we haven't hit that you want us to hit, or something that we've talked about before that you want us to dive deeper on, just drop it in the comments so we can bring that thing back around. So I know finances is going to come up again because we just started talking about that. We're always going to have something that is relevant to singles, meaning not yet married.
Yeah.
And then sex will kind of quarterly make its way into the conversation, or maybe biennially.
That's
is that
funny.
What it is?
Well, hopefully, no matter whatever the time is, hopefully it makes its way into your bedroom more frequently than quarterly or semi-annually or
that's
whatever.
So funny.
So you said biannual was like, isn't it like every 2 years?
Every 2 years. Semi-annually is twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gerald Wilson, thanks for being
what's
here.
Up, man? Long time.
And please give our love to your wife. So yeah. I mean, it's been an interesting summer. This summer has flown by.
Yeah.
We talked about last week that kids are back in school. And I think that's kind of a topic. I mean, many of you are kind of going through it. Some of you are empty nesters for the first time and you're going through it in a different way. I've had more people kind of lament and talk about how hard it's going to be for their babies to go away to college.
Yeah.
And then they find themselves at home. So it's just an interesting time of transition.
It is. And in fact, I think we probably here soon we'll dive a little deeper than that after the rest of your kids go back to school. Because if you're in Georgia and a few other places, your kids, they're in it. They're like in week 3 right now, which is crazy, but true. And so I find it's funny. I enjoy when school opens back up because everything that you lost access and having to wait for stuff, typically speaking, everybody's all the high schoolers, they're gone, they're out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And teachers, you know how many teachers there are out there. So anyway, it makes things easy, but traffic in the morning gets a little, whatever. But I'll pay the price.
Yeah,
whatever. Go to school. That's what I say.
So I love it. Angie Green says, now that the kids are gone, what do you talk about other than your outside jobs? Yeah, that's good.
Let me know when you do the show to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. I mean, there are many things to talk about. In fact, you can take some time. So I'll just drop this in right now. It's not what we're talking about tonight, but I challenge you to come up with at least 3 things that you guys can talk about that you've never talked about before. If you've been married for 50 years, you may think there's nothing that we haven't talked about, but you might be surprised. There might still be some things that you have not talked about. So that's my first challenge for you guys this week.
Wait a minute.
What?
I mean, well, we can't, the bag. Come up with the bag of challenges is not infinite.
It's therefore, not.
Like, why don't we wait till we get to the time for it before we start giving them challenge? Anyway.
Okay. Should you choose to take it, the challenge would be to come up with at least 3 things you can talk about when the kids are gone. That's so funny. And she also says kids are gone for a few years. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And then Antoinette Brunson says it was hard for me. And so here's something funny. Antoinette, we were in Walmart. And we were coming to the checkout, and this young man kind of turns to us. It was a cute little couple too, really cute. And he turns to us and he's like, "Hey, how are y'all doing?" Yep. And we're like, "Hey," and I'm like, "I know him, but do I know him?"
And I'm at the point in life where I don't even try to fake it anymore, because like when somebody knows you, there's a familiarity that you just can't fake, and I just couldn't do it. So I'm like, this dude is looking at me and shaking my hand as if he knows me. I'm like, okay, cool, nice to see you. Who are you?
Yeah, you sure did. You just cut right to it. And it was your son. It was Isaiah. And we were so excited to
I was
see
like,
him.
Holy cow. Yeah. This kid grew up into a young man.
He's a grown man. So that was such a treat for us. So we just wanted to drop that in there. And we really told him, if there's anything we can do for him, let us know.
It was really awesome. So more of that story is, tell your kids where their name tags.
Just tell them everybody is old now. So just lead with, I'm so-and-so. And that just helps us.
I won't be offended even. If you be like, I know who you are. No, I wouldn't be offended. So
yeah. So anyway, what are we talking about tonight? So we've been talking about a number of things. And then I mentioned that you were recently in Tennessee. Yeah. And you dropped in that you had gone to a men's retreat. So we have been having discussions about retreats. And we've have gone to various retreats over the years. You guys always hear us talk about the Weekend to Remember. We speak at the Weekend to Remember, which is a couple's retreat of sorts, or a couple's conference. It depends on how you look at it, because you're actually doing work when you're there. Retreat really, I think, gives this, it really often encompasses some time for you to have some alone time, some reflection time. It's not every minute is filled with something to do. There's some time to commune, some time to seek God, if it's a Christian retreat, and some time to just kind of unplug. Yeah. That's what you think when you think retreat, with maybe some things that foster connection.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, we were talking about that, and it was like, we should talk about that tonight. Yeah. Well, that's what I said. We should talk about that tonight. Sure. All right. So what are we talking about tonight?
Well, first one, I see that
Lady T,
Shannon, Lady T, right now. So welcome. He's checking back into the hospital tonight. So hey, praying for you. Get out of there soon, brother. So but so we're talking about that tonight, really. And so if you all saw the title, say this time it's all about me. It's not about you. It's something that we say all the time. It's like, I had to tell myself, hey, it's not about me, not about me. Well, actually, sometimes it is about you, and it needs to be about you, because we bring all these things into our relationship, right? And a lot of times we bring them in believing that we're right, that our way is the way, that she's wrong, he's wrong, right? that all I got to do is keep talking, and maybe she's going to get it.
Yeah.
Right. All I have to do is, find another way to make this point. Maybe he'll get it. All I got to do is scream a little louder. Maybe they'll hear me this time. Right. Maybe if I leave for a few days, then when I come back, right, you'll recognize how much you missed me, and we'll get it together.
Oh, that's
right?
deep.
So there's all these things we bring into a relationship, and the work of coming into a relationship and making it about loving somebody else actually requires a whole lot of like me on me personal work to get to that place. And so I think that is so. In that case, yeah, it's about you. It's about me, and it needs to be, should be, right? It's a good thing that it's about you sometimes, because as a couple, sometimes, I mean, you go to retreats and you go to things, and those are cool. And we actually, when we do retreats, we always try to incorporate some time where you have, husbands in one place, women and wives in another, in order to kind of have a different kind of conversation.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we're talking about tonight. The fact that it needs to be about you, why it needs to be about you, and why that's a good thing, right? And maybe some ways where you can do some work yourself so you can come together and make this amazing marriage. So that's what it's about.
Yeah,
tonight.
And we hadn't really talked about that per se, right? We, in some of the other topics of conversation we've had, we talked about, like, even a couple of weeks ago, I said something about some self-work or self-assessment.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we talked about if you were doing an assessment of your spouse's performance. You remember that? And so, we talk about it from that perspective, but we haven't really leaned in on this idea of doing some of that self-work. In order for you to not just bring your best self to what you have together, but sometimes it does require a little bit of introspection. It requires a little bit of personal attention, and it requires some strengthening, whether that's a faith strengthening, whether that's a character strengthening, whether that is just in general, your the way that you perceive and your perspectives of your relationship. Sometimes we just need to be able to over here, this is about me. It's kind of like even our own faith walks and our journeys in Christ, right? This whole idea of you have to know the word and learn the word and apply the word for yourself. We are a unit, and we recognize that God has purposed our marriage for some things, but then we're also individuals that God has purposed in other ways. And so when do you take that time to really kind of hear from God without the distraction of anyone else, including your spouse? That's what we're talking about.
Well, yeah, kind of, right? Because sometimes there are, like, just with this retreat I came from, men's retreat up in the mountains and everything. And so it wasn't, there was quiet time to walk. In fact, they call it, like, basically go find your mountaintop, right? Go. And so I put on my boots and I walked, right? I walked uphill for a minute and I'm like, dang, bro, I'm walking uphill. Let me pause. Let me walk the other way for a second.
Wow.
Right. But yeah, so it's about this idea. I'm dropping this scripture in the chat. This is Psalm 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
Yeah. Now,
I think this idea of iron sharpening iron is a really important idea in this respect. Y'all stick with me on this, right?
Okay.
Because the question might be, well, why, as a couple, why can't, we hold each other accountable? And there is a certain level of accountability with that. As a couple, why can't we tell each other the truth? And there's that, right? I would suggest to you, though, that at least in the context of what I'm talking about, a couple, man and woman, man, husband, wife, that's not necessarily iron sharpening iron. Why? Because iron, there's like these very, if not identical qualities, there's very similar qualities with these two things coming together. And so the idea, think of these words I want to drop with you: friction, pressure, resistance. Ooh, that sounds like an amazing marriage, don't it? Right?
Sounds like every marriage.
It sounds like every marriage. But what about but the thing about sharpening is there's intentionality to it. There's a certain angle, there's a certain way, and there's a certain number of times that you sharpen a blade, right? When you're trying to sharpen, my pops taught me how to sharpen blade. Thank you, Dad. That's the man stuff right there. I can sharpen knives with a rock. Yes, I can. And so, but there's something about iron sharpening iron, right? So it's not just the tension and friction and resistance for resistance sake. It is because when this thing is done, it's going to be more effective, right? Than it was before we started. And so that's what this idea of iron sharpening iron is. Two things coming together. You might even say clashing together in order to create something that's sharper. And so that's why you have men's conferences. That's why you have women's conferences. They're kind of, when a bunch of men get together, if you do it right, then you can have a conversation in this room that you can't have, say, back at home with your wife.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Or you can receive some things, let's face it, let's be honest, that you're not going to receive at home. Mm-hmm. At least not with that sharpening, at least not with that preparation. You're going to hear some things, because when you're at home, it's like you're there and it's your perspective.
Right.
And it's your ideas, and you brought this, and I'm right, and you're not, and all that. And a lot of people say, yeah, yes, dear, you're right, I'm right. All that. Yeah, and that's true. Mm-hmm. But it's got to go deeper than that, right? You need something that's going to kind of cut down to the core and help you to understand if you're wrong, why you're wrong. And help you to understand that maybe it doesn't even matter if you're right, because it's not your job to be right. But that's a whole nother story for another day.
I mean, I think that's good. And it's quick, right? That's what you call them. We are really thankful for you. Really just kind of persevering, brother. I mean, it's one thing to just be at home, pull us up on your phone or on your TV, but we are always praying for you, especially as you have these little mini vacations in and out of the hospital. But we're praying for you specifically, and we appreciate you. And I just wanted to kind of take a moment to say that to you, because it's really special.
You said it's quick, right? That's Shannon, y'all. Just get y'all.
Yeah. And he said, "Did you strap up?"
It's the mountains of Tennessee. Come on.
Might be bears out there.
You never know what you might run into out there. So
yeah. LaJuan and Kyrie Beverage, thanks for joining us.
What's up, y'all?
We're so glad you're here. But you brought up some really good points about this whole idea of iron sharpening iron and the intention of it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because it's about sharpening the areas that have been either worn down or rusted over, or that are no longer as effective or sharp as they had been, right? And so when you start out and it's new, and it's sharp and you're cutting through and it's effective, and every time you strike, it hits. But over time, things happen. And so when you come back together, I mean, when there's a need or when it's necessary to be resharpened, it is deliberate, right? It is first being aware. There's an inspection of the areas that need to maybe be sharpened a little bit. Even the areas that you may not be aware of that other people can speak to, right? And so I've said in the past that the idea of if we were trying to do that with each other is more like iron trying to sharpen a diamond. You remember me saying that? And that just doesn't work. Right. It doesn't work either way. And neither of us is getting anywhere in that process.
That's right.
And so the idea of similar, whether it's similar experiences, there's so many similarities among men and similarities among women. Women retreats. I think the first women's retreat that I went to was years ago in Maryland. And I did not want to go. The whole idea of going to spend the weekend with women, and then they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have a pajama party," and it was all of this stuff, and I'm like, I would rather chew my arm off than to go out here for a weekend with these women. And I had an amazing roommate who is still a really good friend and mentor to me to this day, Sabrina Washington, and we stayed up all night. We talked in and out and through, and it was really, really good. And so I had to get over myself to realize that it wasn't just about me in that situation, but it was about what God needed to happen for me, right? It wasn't about what I wanted. It was about what needed to happen during that time.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But that is about expectation. I think, we're very interesting. Wendy, I don't know, maybe we're not. We're just regular. I don't know. What I do know is, given the choice, if you say, hey, Mike, you can go out into the woods and spend the weekend with a bunch of dudes talking about God stuff, or you can go to those same woods with Wendy in a cabin over yonder. What do you think I'm gonna pick? Come on, y'all. I'm picking Wendy every single time, except I've never had that. I've never had to make that choice.
Yeah.
Apparently, because dudes be scheduling stuff when Wendy ain't trying to go nowhere. And she's like, I think you should go. And I'm like, man, okay, you know what? You're probably right. Because I realize at this point, things happen out there. It can be transformational, life altering for a lot of people, right? Sometimes you need to go and receive.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have something to give, and sometimes, most of the time it's both of those happening at the same time. And so I am very much, people don't even know, like, I'm as equal parts extrovert and introvert. I will tend to lean actually toward my introverted side. That is, I kind of want my space. Right? If I'm going to be out there with y'all, maybe I get a cabin and I'll meet you at the meeting or something like that. Right? But it doesn't work that way. And so what I've learned to do is to just lean into it, right? Whatever it is, and just listen and expect to hear something from God, right? And so sometimes God delivers that something, early. Sometimes He delivers it way late, but there's always something. And so it's really important. But I think if you're going to walk into something like that, humility is really important too. Because if you walk in like, I really got nothing for these people and they don't have anything for me, then what you're basically saying is, I don't have anything for God and God ain't got nothing for me. Right? Because in that case, you show up, it's about working on you, but then all of a sudden, it ain't about you anymore. Right? And so I know that may sound crazy to some people, but just going, expecting, and just leaning in and receiving with a heart of humility, because the humility is necessary, because you got to understand when the Spirit is talking to you. And then the door begins to open up and you begin to look at these other people and you begin to recognize yourself, maybe. You hear words and you're like, whoa, you know what? That sounds like me. I recognize that dude. Or maybe that was me. I recognize that guy. And that's when it becomes real. Right.
Yeah. And I think, we both do coaching, leadership coaching, and what we recognize is that the real growth happens when you're outside of your comfort zone, right? There's an area just outside of your comfort zone. And I think oftentimes we are reluctant to go spend a weekend or go spend time in other environments or share with other people because we're comfortable. I mean, sure, I want to be at home. I want to be on the couch. I want to be watching Netflix. I want to complete that series. And that's where I'm comfortable. And I feel like I'm good in that way. And when I get into that habit and those patterns, I don't always get to see what I may be needing, right? And I also don't know what I'm missing. And so I wouldn't say go to a retreat because you have FOMO, right? You fear what you're going to miss out on. I would say you should go because you should fear what you might miss out on from God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just the people.
Right. Because I've been to a lot of things, right? And so in just various cultures, various locations and people and all those things. And man, like, there's a lot of differences, but like when the Spirit of God is in that place, the outcome is the same, right? It may be like, I ain't really that music, I ain't really care for that. The food, I don't know, or the living conditions and whatever, but there's something. It's like when the Spirit's there, the outcome tends to be the same, right? And I'm talking retreats and conferences and all that stuff, but it could be just like a Bible, like a meeting that you have. I would encourage you, if you do any type of a routine, study or meeting or anything like that, fight hard against routine. Right? Fight hard, just kind of get going through the motions. Okay, we're gonna do this, then we're gonna read the scripture, and somebody can give us a word, and then we're gonna pray, and we're gonna be gone. Create some space for the Spirit of God to move and for people to express what's happening with them. Right? Create some space for people to maybe tell their stories. Right? And I know some people, they hear, oh no, testimony, it means we never gonna get out of this joint. Right? Doesn't have to be that way. Create space to understand what God is doing and for people to see like what He's doing in people and to hear from what the Spirit is giving people. I think a lot of times we try so much to constrain things, right? We just try to control them so much that we control the Holy Spirit right out of that.
Yeah, that's really good. And I'll say this. I mean, Charlotte, I'm with you. I love my comfort zones too. And speaking for the introverts out there, I'm not about the sharing, especially when the sharing comes at the end of the night when you're like, okay, good. I got through everything that was on the agenda. Now I can just go to bed. And it's like, no, let's all sit around in a circle. And let's talk about, and I'm like, however, if you're able to just be uncomfortable for a little bit of time. There has never been a time when I've been in the company of my sisters where I have regretted that decision. I mean, I may be worn out, I may be tired, and by the end of the weekend, I'm ready to go home. Mm-hmm. However, I've never regretted spending that time. And it's because I had to get over myself. I had to get over my selfish nature. I had to get over my comfort. I had to get over my preferences and just be available, because what God has for me, certainly I can get at any point, but it's so much easier and so much clearer when I'm away from the things that take up most of my attention: my job, my husband, and my girls, and my dogs. Just saying. So when I'm away from them, I'm able to hear differently, see differently, and act differently.
Yeah. And you know, I think if you really open yourself up to that, then it's like you hear things and you're like, you know what? I got to do better at that. You know, I need to, you know, maybe it's about your words, you know, maybe it's about the way you honor, maybe it's about the way you cherish.
Yeah.
But it, you know, I remember when Wendy went to this conference, this event with women in Maryland one time. She came back home, and I didn't know. I mean, it's not that I didn't know. I didn't expect anything. I was just like, she went away, she coming back, and that's it, right?
I came back changed.
She came back changed. She like pulled out some oil. I'm like, what's happening right now? She walking around that joint with some oil and she's praying, and I'm like, holy moly, what's happened? But it was wow, and so
that was good.
It was good, and it was such a time of transformation. And then not long after that, I think is when you joined the dance ministry. Were you already part of it?
It was a couple of years, yeah.
And so there was just this progression. And every time she went back, so after that year, every time she went back to another thing, and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm anticipating like, what's it gonna be?
How is she gonna come back? Well, here's the thing that I want to say about that, because you know I love you and I love being around you all the time.
Yeah.
But I do recognize that we should have some time apart, because what happens, you know, people say absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's kind of true. Yeah. When I'm away from you, I can see you sometimes more clearly than when I'm with you every day. Yeah. Right. And so it's kind of like, man, I miss Mike.
Yeah. That's so funny. I love it. I mean,
it's true.
You headed to a retreat soon, right?
I
am. Yeah. Let's go. I mean, I miss you, but it is cool when you come back.
Yeah.
It's like everything is just sharper. You know how it is, y'all. It's like, you know, it's like, it's like a good, I don't know. It's like, yeah. So like even last night, man, after a weekend surrounded by dudes and trees and more guys with more trees and wood, I was just like, that's my woman in my bed.
I know. That was nice. I was glad you came home.
Yeah.
So, I love. So Angie says she's scheduled to go on a women's retreat. Confirmation that I need to go. Yes. And be in prayer about it, right? Yeah. You start to seek what God has for you before you go. And the expectation should be surrounding what God has for you, not how everybody will serve you or what those interactions are going to be, right? Because I think sometimes we get kind of caught up in that. I'll be there and the sister so-and-so, she gonna be talking all the time. Okay, that's just me. That's just me.
Oh my goodness, the realness is
she gonna be talking all the time, and I don't want to paint a picture of, this is just the worst ever and all of the women are the same. That's not true. I'm really being a little bit dramatic here on behalf of all introverts in the world. But the truth is, we all go for different reasons, but everybody else's reason for going is not yours, right? And so I would just encourage you to seek God in what does He have for you? What is there for you to learn and grow and sharpen when you are away for that period of time with the intent of communing and connecting, maybe more so with yourself.
Yeah. And I think we should go into all these things, you know, with this expectation and this anticipation of what God has given. So, because somebody was prompted to put this together, and there's been a process, right? And if you've been to any of those things where you've seen where, you know, you have a theme, and maybe you know we got a speaker, but we don't tell them what to say. we got musicians, but we didn't tell them what to play.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden they come to this same place and everything is just reinforcing, confirmation after confirmation. Right. And so you should go into these things like just leaning in. What is God going to have for me? And lean on every moment and participate in everything.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me to do. I say that out loud, knowing that like with everything, I'm like, man, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to the next thing. I'm a disappear. I'm a hide. You know what I mean? So it's always up to the last minute with me. But I try to show up.
Yeah.
Because there's all these things that are being woven together that often are not totally revealed to you until you hit that moment. And when you hit it. If you've never hit it, you probably have not gone in with an expectation. So really important. And excuse me, Shannon asked about, I think the question is with regard to kind of speaking to each other, giving somebody something that you're getting, maybe that you're seeing, and they don't want to hear it, even though you're trying to do it out of love. And so I think it's just a matter of being discerning about when it's time.
Yeah.
Because if you just wait, and what I would say is, and maybe, this is what I tend to do, is like when I get that initial inclination, maybe to comment on something, sometimes I will just hold for a minute because there's a lot of things that I could comment on, like at every moment. But it's like, is this one mine yet? Right? Because I think when it's like, okay, this is the one, this is mine.
Yeah.
And because there's this combination of things, people who are ready to receive it, you having kind of a clear thing to say to somebody, right? That's totally grounded in the word and takes what you're hearing and ties those things together in a way that people can receive in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I have found myself in situations where I'm like, we're 2 hours in and it's like, man, I heard like 8 things I comment on and I had my hand up 7 times and all that. And so I think it's important just to really to discern, wait. And when it's really your moment, like you'll know, right? And then offer that. Everything that we offer is not going to be received.
Right.
At least it's not going to be apparent that's been received in that moment. And so as I told some folks this weekend, we're about planting seeds, all of us, right? For each other, it's about planting seeds. That's with our kids, that's with our families. And so different seeds will have different rates of germination, right? So sometimes it's your job to plant the seed, but you don't necessarily get to see the fruit that it bears. That requires humility too. Yeah. Because we don't get to see everything. That's just the nature of life, and you got to be comfortable with the fact you may not see the transformation, but you walk up with your brick and you put your brick there, right? You walk up with your piece and you add it, right? And then the big picture will be taken care of. God is the one who gets the increase and determines when it's time.
Yeah, we
just have to be willing to offer what it is He's given us to offer.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I'll say this. Sometimes we are distracted by the people, right? And sometimes we miss God's word because of the people, because we're looking at the vessel or the person delivering the word, but we're not really able to receive the word because we're distracted by who's delivering it. And what do I mean by that specifically? Because sometimes, let's just be honest. We don't get along with everybody we go to church with. We don't get along. Everybody is not like in your inner circle, right? We all have brotherly love. We all have sisterly love, and we are together at, as a church, right? The church is the people. However, there may be people that kind of rub you the wrong way. And, something that you talk about often is if there's somebody that rubs you the wrong way, then you probably need to ask more questions, right? Yeah. We go into things believing we know people. And the truth is we really don't, especially if we haven't taken time to have a conversation or a deeper conversation or to listen. And so we're quick to dismiss them or to cast them into the category of there is nothing I can receive from you.
Oh, yeah.
Based on what it looks like and maybe what our short little experiences have been. And I would just say that if you go in with an open mind and an open heart to be able to receive however it comes to you. I always make I bring up the illustration of God sent somebody in a boat, in a plane, and whatever that story is. God can use anyone to get his word to you.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to assume a posture to receive it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody. Right? Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
And this may shock some of y'all. So I want you to, if you're standing up, sit down. If you're not holding on to something, hold on to something right now. Every single messenger, right, outside of Jesus Christ, every single messenger is a flawed messenger. Period.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Say that again.
Every single messenger, to include you. I don't mean to be pointing at nobody. To include y'all though, everybody, every single person is a flawed messenger. If your name ain't Jesus, you're a flawed messenger. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we need to kind of step down off the high horse a little bit and accept the fact that even if you don't like somebody, they can tell you something that they can give something you can use.
That's true.
Even if they're young and you think they don't have anything to say to you, they can give you something you can use. If you think they're too old and they're out of touch, them too.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Anyone. And so again, it's yes. Like
if they always mispronounce the words wrong. Yes.
If their grammar is jacked, them too. Oh goodness. You put your stop.
That's
it.
me. That's me.
You know what? You got
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's true. It's true. It's because it is easy to get distracted, and I recognize that. I'm just owning. I'm owning my stuff right now.
We cannot get there. When it be like I can't. I'm like, listen now.
Like did they just say what? Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Jesus. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So, but and even in that, you're talking about flawed messengers. Yeah. Even in that, it's one of the reasons why accountability between husband and wife is a challenge, because it's not that we don't get each other, and it's not that we don't want to get each other, but somehow in many instances, it's hard for us to get each other just by the nature of who we are.
Yeah.
Right. So we have every intention. I don't have an intention of hurting you. I don't have an intention of frustrating you. I don't have an intention of sounding angry. I don't have an intention of raising my voice, but sometimes those things happen because there's so much to it. It's like the fate of our lives together rests on this point. Yeah. And it really often is never that serious. Well, rarely ever that serious, but in the moment, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it really can. And it's like there's this tension. And what I started doing, and Wendy, she don't even know. I guess she'll know now, I guess. Right. Okay. But sometimes, I made it a point to just let some things like ride that maybe I would correct or try to, whatever. I just like, and I would actively tell myself, it's just not that serious. Right. The fact that, maybe I don't know, maybe she's wrong about that location, that thing happened, or maybe the spelling of that word or that thing or whatever. I don't know. But all these little things happen every day. And a lot of times we spend so much time going back and forth trying to correct the little things, majoring in the minor, as my mom used to call it. Yeah. Right? Just worried about these little things that really don't make a difference. Right? It doesn't matter what the person's name was. Who cares? Right? Let's get to the point. And so a lot of times we will stop the flow of things in order to make this irrelevant point. And so I made it a point to try to really identify those irrelevant points and not chase those.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we both have made that effort. I mean, because and it's kind of the nature of who we are. I mean, and we've raised two people who are so much like that it makes us crazy, right? It's like we can't get through a conversation. Nobody can say anything without the other person saying, but you meant such and such. And da, 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 da. Yeah. So that's what we've created in our environment, but we both recognize that we had to make efforts to get beyond that. Yeah. And unfortunately, some of those lessons were hard ones. Like I remember one year when you wrote me a poem.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was my birthday or if it was our anniversary. You wrote me a poem and there was a misspelled word and I was reading it and I was like, oh, I think you meant such and such here. And it just, I felt pain. When I looked at your face, I was like, why can't I turn off this whole, I'm like the ultimate spell checker. What in the world? Why can't I turn it off even for this instance? And it wasn't important that I point out that the word was misspelled, because I had all of the appreciation. I felt the love. I wasn't trying to ruin the moment, but the look on your face in that moment was like, I did all this, and you point, basically it was like, do you know what the word is?
That's probably,
and so, but that, that was years ago, but I also kind of make that effort because we do get caught up in these tiny little things. It's like, again, as if the fate of the world rested on it. Right. And so we just sometimes need to, be a way to come together.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to be able to look at ourselves without judgment is kind of what I'll call it, right?
Yeah.
You may not believe or think or feel that your husband or your wife is judging you, but it's interesting that we behave that way, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would guarantee you that if you were to go into, if we kind of go into a gathering of other men, of other women, and just tell your story. Talk about how you do it, how you communicate. The last thing you said, that poem that you wrote or that poem that you read or whatever.
Yeah.
People, like, a lot of the things, like, y'all been kind of, there's been tension about at home. If you open yourself up to somebody else to give you feedback and speak into your life, they will tell you a lot of the same things that you've been battling with your spouse about.
Yeah.
And what you gonna do with that? Are you gonna battle that person? No, right? Because they're not your spouse. And so, for them, it's they're just speaking into you, right? They don't have any personal stake in who's winning, right? So a lot of times people will reveal you to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
And if that happens, I think it's important. So I think it's important to go and to allow other people to speak in, because it can be a revelation to you, like, oh my goodness, she's been saying this for years. And then once that revelation comes, well, then it's time for you to go and own that.
Yeah.
And say, you know what? This is what I heard. It's what I learned. And I know you've been saying it.
Yeah.
I hear it now.
Yeah.
That's okay, right? Because pride is what stops you from saying that. Pride is what stops you, is what makes you, like, get even more stiff, right? It makes you, like, push back even more.
Yeah.
Right. So once you've heard the truth a few times, but you're just an idiot. I'm just saying, if you don't like, I'm sorry, I don't mean the name call, but I'm just saying, it's like, accept what the truth is. Because the bottom line is this, y'all. It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong as it pertains to Wendy. Right? What matters is how I make her feel. Right? Now, yeah, that's it. Because if I'm lined up what the word says, she's gonna feel like a queen. Right?
That is true.
I'm just saying. And so, like,
when you are out of alignment.
When I'm out of alignment, it becomes about me. So I dare you all to think back about everything that made her feel less than. Think back about the things that he felt less than when going into battle with each other, right?
Yeah.
Probably something that happened in there that maybe we didn't handle in the best way. Sometimes, that's what's up.
Yeah, because here's the thing, right? Your husband or wife, or the person you've been in a long-term committed relationship with, knows so much more about you than anybody else, or at least they should. And in most instances they do. And so, because we know all that, we know the pain points. We know where to get you. We know how to like really get you in an area where you haven't fully healed, in an area where you're insecure, or in an area where, you have tried to suppress or whatever. Right. And so, because we're so close, and because there's such confidence, and because they're sharing, there's a vulnerability that doesn't exist in other environments.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people in relationships use that to attack each other.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I'm running out, if I don't feel like you're hearing me, I'm running out of things to say. I'm so angry, I can't even put words together. I'm going to now do something to hurt you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to attack you. And that's what happens often when we're fighting. When we talk about not fighting fair. Yeah. It has nothing to do with whatever it was that we were disagreeing or talking about. And now all of a sudden, I'm just going after you because I want to shut this down. Yeah. So what we're able to do when we're able to just kind of be around like a group of women or a group of men, I mean, you can't roll up in there and be like, I'm a grown man. Right. Because everybody is a grown man. I'm a grown woman.
Right. And
me too.
Those cats that have been through it, like, okay, that's it. Maybe, oh, well, you know what? He got hard head. You know how it is. Hard head, soft behind. Okay, then.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I just want to shout out Clarence Howe. I saw him.
Yeah.
Jay Sutton.
Jay Sutton. Wow, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure a couple others. Sorry if I missed y'all.
Yeah. And so so Shannon says, do women go off their feelings and men go off the facts?
You know what? Don't answer that question. We're about to blow the whole marriage world up. We like turn it on its head right now. Because what you've been told is that men are all about facts and women are all about feelings. Okay. So first myth busted. Have you ever tried to go toe to toe with a woman on the facts? Right? I'm just saying they know the facts. Right? And so the facts come into play. But the idea that men are not about the feelings and the emotional part, I think it's a misconception. I think more appropriately it is men aren't generally, and this is even like probably an overstatement, but a lot of men aren't going to express the emotion in the way that it begins, the core emotion that emerges. Yeah. Right? That's good. Because it could be my feelings are hurt. It could be that I'm sad. It could be whatever. What you're going to get? You might get anger a lot of times. Right? And so in effect, you may not get the real emotion. Yeah. But men very much are driven by emotion, right? Yes. So I want y'all to reconceive this whole idea about men just facts. In fact, please stop it. I'm a man. I listen, y'all. I'm sorry to reveal and blow the cap off this whole thing. Y'all know the truth, men. Right? It's just not true, right? And so the question is, what is that emotion that man is feeling, and what's he hiding it with? Right?
Wow, say that again.
Okay. The question is, what emotion is that man feeling, and what is he hiding it with? Yeah. Right? Just because somebody doesn't talk doesn't mean they're not feeling emotion. And in fact, they may not be talking because that emotion is just like going wild inside them. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's good.
That's all. I could say more about it.
Yeah. And what I'll say about that is I love everything that you said about it. What I'll say about it is I think that, this whole idea of, again, I talked about vulnerability and what we go after, right? I know the things that are going to shut you down. I know the things that if I say something about you or that you interpret that I'm talking about you, that's going to impact you emotionally. And so the truth is, maybe in any given situation, neither of us uses the right words, but how those words impact us may be different. But it is individually based. It's not men are this and women are that. Yeah. You need to know your spouse. Yeah. You need to know what your wife is. And she needs to know what you are. And that's how you move forward in it. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing.
That's it.
Yeah.
So let's see.
He wrote down what you said. Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
No, thank you. I was trying to make sure we only have a few more minutes here.
Yeah.
I want to make sure there's nothing that we needed to cover. Because some people would say, and I know we've met some couples, like they'll do things together, but they don't really do that other stuff with other people, right? Yeah. But there are reasons that you probably could and should do that. Because a lot of the challenges, the roles, the expectations, all this stuff, people have very similar experiences around those things and dealing with those things. Yeah. We got a conference coming up soon, Unity. It's a men's thing. It's more of a breakfast. People call it conference, but it's an event. And we're going to pose a question to those men. It'll be about 300. We're going to pose a question to them that is going to force them to see their sameness, their commonality around this man thing, right? And so you can do that in an environment where there's something that happens, right? So we're gonna do that, but also common fears, right? That people have, or hesitations, anxieties about certain things. I think that's important, and you can accomplish something in that men's only event, that women's only event, that you won't necessarily accomplish when the couples are together, and you're able to break couples out of these circular conversations that they have a lot. Have you ever been there? Raise your hand. All right, I can't see them. You can put them down.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in that circular thing where it's like, man, we're back here again?
Yeah.
We're talking about this again after all this time.
20 years.
After, if you keep it real in one little gathering, people can help you to see yourself in that and how to break that cycle.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think that a few other things in terms of the ability to sit down with other like-minded men, like-minded women.
Yeah.
You can speak freely, and you can correct that wrong thing that you say without penalty, because you can say it around, yeah, look, man, I think I want to say this. Yep. I think I want to do that. And you can have some brothers around you like, yo, my man, no, stop. That's not godly. That's not loving her like Christ loved the church. That's not having patience.
Peace, patience.
Yes. Right. Self-control.
Yeah.
It's not being kind, etc. Right. This is how, maybe think about this, right? So you can accomplish that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can take advantage of those unique perspectives that you all bring.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
When you're surrounded by a bunch of people who love you and who are there to fight and win for you, nothing to lose.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think that's really good. And I just want to say this, because we're talking about periodic retreats, right? Time to go away to, to commune, to hear from God, to tap into your purpose, to be sharpened by others who are similar. We're not talking about this is why you need to hang out with your boys or your girls and have a girls' night every Thursday. Yeah. That's not exactly the same thing, right? I mean, there's some similarities in that, I enjoy being around these people and they get me and I'm free to speak and all that. But we're really talking about, the grooming and edification, right? Yeah. This is a process of refining who you are. And nobody wants to go through that every week, right? Yeah. There's a little bit of pain involved. It may be a little bit challenging, and it quite frankly might be uncomfortable, but you have to know and have the expectation going in that you're going to come out changed in some way, positively changed in some way, and hopefully with more clarity. That's what we're talking about in this sense of things, right? Because, a lot of people are like, yeah, but that's why I like to be with my girls, or I like to be with my boys because they get me and you don't get me. Yeah. Okay. What? If you spend as much time with me, I might get you.
Yeah. So iron sharpening iron. If you're having too much fun, you're not working hard enough.
Oh, not that.
I'm serious, for real. I mean, and so, because having fun that you have on Friday night, drinking bourbon with the fellas or whatever, it's not that.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, and so it should not be fun. It should just be challenging. There should be a moment where you see something about yourself and you're like, okay, I got to do something about that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and if your friends aren't challenging you to do that from time to time, I'm not saying get new friends.
Yeah.
But I'm saying find some other friends. I mean, I'm not saying you can keep the ones you got, but find some people who are going to push and stretch and sharpen you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they want you to be the best you, right? Yeah. They're not trying to make you them. They're not trying to make you Jesus. They just want you to be the best you, to know your purpose and to be able to walk that out. And so, find one or two people that can do that for you. So there are a couple of things. So Roll Tide, I'm glad you came in here. Mike dropped in the chat a little bit earlier, in the comments a little earlier, a link to the Weekend to Remember. That next one in Augusta is coming up the weekend of September 11th. I think it's the 9th to the 11th. The Weekend to Remember happens in cities all across the United States and a few, I think, overseas. And so that is that time. And I'll say this about that, because we were talking about really these retreats that are individual male retreats, women retreats, and couples retreats, right? And so when we went to the Weekend to Remember, the first 3 times that we went, we did not attend everything. We what we learned when we got there was that it was God's intent for us to be there together without distraction, and that we needed to do some work on us that maybe was in addition to what was planned for that weekend.
Yeah.
So if you go to a Weekend to Remember and you're like, we got to be in everything, we got to, and you're creating stress about, one person is like, but we need to talk about this, and you're like, no, because the thing is going to start in 5 minutes.
But baby, yeah, that's true. But I did just tell them earlier that I like to go to everything. You can't be telling the people that we were playing hooky.
I mean, but we did. I just want to be all the way. This is real talk.
Okay, good gracious. Okay, fine. Yeah, so we skipped some sessions.
Real marriage, real talk.
Guilty. But yeah. So
I mean, we can't skip sessions
now.
Do
what God, we can't skip them now. But hey, whatever God is telling y'all to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the whole point is to go away to come together. And so you can go away together to come together, or you can go away separately to come together. But the whole point is that for a time, you should go away to come together. And if you look, I mean, I think there's biblical premise for this, right? Even when Jesus was seeking God's guidance and clarity, he had to go away in order for him to be able to hear clearly without distraction before he could come back and commune with his brothers and disciples. So I'm just saying that when we talk about prioritizing time for yourself or self-care or doing any of those things, right? In this instance, what we're talking about is that it is about you this time. It is about you this time. And maybe there's some me work that's going to help us work. That's it.
Ooh, look at you. I see what you did there. That kind of got me all messed up.
Yeah.
And so Nicolette asked about the Unity breakfast. I just dropped the Unity men's breakfast in the chat.
Yep.
Listen, men, register for that. Ladies, share it with your husbands, or everybody share it with all the men you know.
Yeah.
All right. Be there, because it is, and it's going to be October 8th. By the way, you'll see it at the link. But some things are coming together, and I'm kind of like a little nervous. It's going to be crazy, for real. I think God is just like putting together some things that are just, and the whole idea behind this unity thing is that it really was born here in this area, this particular movement. But I think we've already kind of begun to plant some seeds and seeing where this will begin to emerge, like in other regions and pockets. East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah.
So at least. All right. So
well, Jay Sutton, I appreciate you. He says go see Mike and Wendy if they're speaking at the Weekend to Remember. In my opinion, they are wonderful. Go see for yourself. Wow. We appreciate you. Bless you.
You're all right with me, bro. Thank you.
And so Mike and Wendy will be speaking at the Weekend to Remember in Charleston in December and in Albany in November, I think.
Yes. And actually, just early December is when we'll be in Albany, New York.
Oh, yep. Albany in New York. I mean, Albany in December and Charleston in November. Correct. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so yeah, but if you want to make a road trip, by all means, come and join us.
Come holler at us. Donnie, Sherry, Nesbitt. They were in Houston, and they're right over here in North Augusta. That was amazing. So
we've been connecting in some incredible ways.
But don't come for us though, for real. It's like it's just God's put together an amazing team of people. So
yes,
but we love to see y'all if y'all come through. So anyway, if is anything else?
Nope, that's it. We've been talking too long. I've been talking too long.
Nah, baby.
But we had to get it in there.
It's exactly, Ron Harvey. Albany, exactly. Like this is what happens, when you're serving, Ron.
Yeah.
The answer is just yes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow! Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie.
Yes.
Let's pray, y'all. Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight, just helping us to seek you first in everything that we do, and your righteousness. And we thank you that the word says that all things will be added unto us. And we believe that is an amazing marriage that is guided by you. So I ask you to bless all these people, bless their homes, bless their families, bless their children, bless their relationships. God, help us all to live with a spirit of forgiveness and love in the way that you love us. We thank you. We love you and we trust you with everything. We pray these and all blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, y'all. Look, have a good week. We will see you on next Monday.
Next Monday.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And
Be
or
blessed.
Maybe early. You just never know, right?
No.
No, not earlier?
No.
Okay. Fine then. Too late. And I think we got like the music's all jacked up. So no music tonight, y'all. So we just gonna be out. That's so disappointing, but it's what it is. Technology. We love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. Bless y'all.
All right, we see you later.
See you next week.
Oh, here, we'll put this up though. Make sure that you go and give us your anniversary. We want to see it.
Yeah. If you could drop that in, we want to celebrate you. Celebrate your anniversaries.
So get your QR codes out and or your QR codes. Get your cameras out, your phones, all that stuff. All right. Good night, everybody.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's your boy JC. I'm in the mood, love. Lately I've been constantly thinking about you, babe. You drive me crazy, yeah. And girl, I want this. Got me all up in my feelings. Oh, what a feeling, yeah. I knew the first time I laid eyes on you that you would be here forever. I'm not being arrogant, and I still can't take my eyes off you. 'Cause you made me better, so much better. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime. I love your kindness, I love your confidence. Oh, you're the finest. So glad you're mine, yeah. I don't wanna be with nobody else. Give me your love, that's all the worth I need. Baby, you're priceless to me, yeah. To love you for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime, yeah. Promise I'ma be around, I'ma always hold you down. Won't you come and hold me now? Won't you come and hold me now? I just got a new coupe, yeah, I know I got a roof, but I always keep it down with you, yeah. And I know they see, girl, you're my queen, and beauty speaks for itself loud and clear, yeah. Throw it in the air. It's the sweetest sound to follow my ear. And I want the world to know I'll love you forever. And that's a long time, babe. And I got time for you, baby. I'm in the mood. Ooh, for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you, yeah. For a lifetime, baby. Ooh, yeah. For a lifetime, oh, for a lifetime, yeah.